That try. And welcome back. Yeah, I was messing around. Rumble wasn't queuing up right. Apparently, Rumble, you can't start the stream until exactly the moment that you're scheduled to start. Maybe I should back it up to like 1 minute before and something next time. But anyway, greetings and welcome back to the Weekly News Roundup. I hope you all had a wonderful week. I have most of my voice this week, so if you notice, the videos earlier this week are a little more hoarse than usual. I was taken out by an 8-year-old germ spewer. It was awesome. Got a chance to spend some time, really finally, for the first time, a kid that I mentored years ago has now an 8-year-old daughter, and I've met her before when she was really young and couldn't remember me, but we got a chance to hang out several times over the last week, and apparently spending a lot of time with an 8-year-old in the park and in the house playing video games and in the car and stuff. You're not used to it. I thought I was going to die on Monday, but I survived. And actually, I didn't even lose my voice nearly as much as I usually do. I developed a new strategy. If I think I'm starting to get sick, it's tragic. You guys got to pray for me. I stopped drinking coffee from the moment that I feel like I'm going to get sick, because I found that if I stop drinking coffee before then and megadose vitamin C, I'll get my sickness, I'll get over it, and I won't generally lose my voice. So I am on I had 1 cup of coffee yesterday, and it was like, ooh, I was feeling it again. So I have had no coffee today. I think I'm on my 3rd or 4th or 5th cup of tea. I'm not sure which one, but I've actually ran out of caffeinated tea. So I am on to a caffeine-free chai tea right now because I hate this stuff. Anyway, it's one of the last things in there. I need to buy more tea. All right. But with that being said, apologies if I cough and have to get a little bit of Kermit out of my throat there. Also, I had to switch my headphones. My other headphones died. These ones came with a Samsung phone, and boy, Samsung gives you crappy headphones. You'd think for as much money as you're paying for those phones, they might actually give you something decent. Nope, not at all. These things suck. They sound horrible. They almost stick in your ears. I don't know, but hey, they have a volume control on them, and presumably this might actually be a microphone. I'm not sure, but yeah, there's that. We don't have a lot of other specific things to mention today, other than if you want to help support the channel, have a look over at the website, switchedtolinux.com/support. There's all the means you can help and support the channel. We do have some social media sites there as well. I think Twitter would be our biggest one, or I guess they call it X now. Maybe I should change that bird out of the logo, swap it out with the X. But if you want to help support the channel, there is where we're at. Oh no, why am I doing that again? Sorry, I'm all messed up today, apparently. All right, let's go ahead and get started in. So, of course, our main line story today, the Lone Star Surveillance State. What the world's going on with those morons up in Texas? And I've said it many times before, is I get branded by all the gnome wokies as this far-right, alt-right, conservative, right-wing, radical lunatic. I'm right up there with Brian Lunduke. I am proud that Brian Lunduke has to mention my name every time he has to go into how insane these people are because of, that stupid unhinged mastodon. What do they call them over there? Toots? Toot it right out your butt. The whole, if something ever happens to me, it's either Tom Morosky or Brian Lunduke. Like... Wonderful. I don't even know who you are. Okay, I'm seriously out there. But here I am today. I am going to have to throw Texas completely under the giant electric bus that California's driving, okay? I'm going to side with California, okay? That is how far I have been broken by the current world. But, of course, to my defense, I've always said the right has a lot of your social issues more correct. And I say more correct because the reality is there's things they do get wrong as well. Obviously, everybody gets some things wrong. But when it comes to technology, the right is so woefully incompetently stupid that it is baffling to me. That it's the one area that when you get into any knowledge of political discussions, the left generally has a better handle on technology, at least on some sense. These headphones are not going to work. work for me. Samsung get better headphones. Hopefully I don't need those. I'm just going to monitor my volume controls over on OBS a little bit better. Of course, what we are talking about is there is a new law that is passed in Texas, and it is set to go in effect. Now, this went so far under the radar. There is zero public comments on this. There was apparently no discussion, and even our channel, which looks for these types of things, we missed it. This law was passed. It was in a couple of articles in April. It actually passed in May, and the first articles I found on it was this one from June 5th. Only about a week or two after it actually passed. This law goes into effect on January 1st, so that is now only a couple of months away. Now, what they say here, there is a little bit of, I have to take a little bit of umbrage with the article. I'm going to be as fair as we can in here. I have read this law, and then I read all of California's laws, and I was very happy that Mr. Weiner did not actually do any of them. Yes, there is a California politician named Scott Weiner who... He writes some of the most egregious laws. He is the one behind the let's decriminalize intentionally giving somebody HIV, and let's decriminalize sodomy between 25-year-olds and 15-year-olds. That guy actually wrote those bills. Fortunately, Weiner doesn't have a bill in the fight that I read this week, but there you have it. We're going to start over in Texas. Now, the article says a photo ID and possibly even biometric selfie may be required to use the Google and App stores in Texas next year. Okay, those specific provisions are not in the bill. Okay, I'm going to be as fair as possible while still throwing Texas under the bus because this is retarded. What it basically boils down to is the new law that was signed. Was this 243, I think it is? Well, I'm sure we will get to the law. We're actually going to read the law. I think it is SB 243 in Texas. And what it requires, as a brief summary, is any person creating an account on any app store that can distribute apps must verify their age with the company running the account. Then those ages must be grouped into 4 categories, which are shared with the California law, which means that, yes, it is true, behind the scenes, beyond all of the outward fighting, these guys all talk between themselves, because wouldn't you know it, that Texas and California both have bills that say we have 4 age groups. One is under 13, the other is 13 to 16, the other is 16 to 18, the other is 18 over. Both Texas and California have both of those laws just into it, both of them passing and happening on January 1st. Isn't that fascinating, folks? Isn't it fascinating how the world system of the mark of the beast starts enforcing itself all at once from 2 completely diametrically opposed states? Isn't it wonderful? But the problem with the Texas law is that they are requiring an age verification for any app store, even if all you're downloading is a simple app. And the examples both Google and Apple gave us were weather apps or sports apps, completely benign apps. Well, outside of the advertisements you might get, but that's a different story for a different day. The Texas law goes farther than a simple age verification. You see, several states are passing things about the great PH, having to verify your age, and there has been some constitutional ruling. This is something Techlor's video mentioned this week, which was an excellent video. You should watch that one. The Supreme Court has ruled that a company can force an age verification for an adult content. What they have not ruled, however, is that age verification has to be done for everything. In fact, in many instances, when it's everything, a broad statement, a blanket, like Texas law, usually it's overruled in the court. And so the good news about this is it's likely to be overruled in the court, but like Mississippi's law, which is also overly enforceable, that one also, it's probably going to fail, but it's going to be in effect long enough for these big tech companies to already create the platform anyway, because we have to, unless somebody is wise enough to injunct it in some way that a mental baboon might shoot it down, like happened in the Mississippi case, where they literally said in the Supreme Court, yeah, we're going to allow this to be enforced because we don't agree with the premise that the injunction was done, but although we think it's still going to fail. What type of nonsense is that? It's because the powers that be behind the scene want to create a surveillance state. That surveillance state will eventually be the world system that is known by us Christians as the mark of the beast, and maybe known by the rest of you as, I don't know, the New World Order or whatever. So the age verification laws spark privacy and speech concerns, certainly involving and certainly involve uploading a photo ID to Google or Apple, may additionally involve taking a selfie. Again, there is no specific requirement in the law that forces you to do that. All right. We're going to get into the text of the bill in a moment. Users that do not agree to age verify will at least be restricted from downloading new apps or making any in-app purchases. Okay. So in criticizing similar App Store law passed by Utah in March of this year, some legal scholars have noted First Amendment rights may come into play. So prior rulings established national free speech rights include the right to access public forums without the type of identity gatekeeping, something social media, news, and other apps represent. So that means that it's likely to be overturned. Rulings have noted virtually impossible to separate the process from age verification from personally identifying the subject. I'm going to get into some solutions to this at the end because, well, I think it's the best thing is for everybody in the world to understand all of this is in the guise of protecting children on the internet. When we all collectively as society agree that the internet is like the streets of New York City at 3 a.m., children have no business walking down it, then we can stop trying to protect the children on the internet and maybe just leave it up to the parents to keep their children off the internet. And this is actually where the California law does it right. California is putting a similar principle into the hands of the parents, not into the hands of the state and the big tech companies. In the red here, prior attempts to impose age verification schemes on multiple social media apps in multiple states have been enjoined by federal courts, and the state attacks and app stores are seen as some legal end around that violates the spirit of those decisions. California, Arkansas, Ohio, Mississippi, among other states, attempted to pass similar social media age verifications, ultimately had them enjoined. But again, California also just passed theirs as well. So here is Apple voicing some concerns. The Texas bill is 2420. I think California is the SB 243. So the Texas state law SB 2420 introduces age assurance. One of the main objections is the requirements are over the top and don't take into account what the user is actually trying to do. That is what Apple says. So they are concerned it impacts the privacy of users by requiring the collection of sensitive, personally identifiable information to download any app, even if the user simply wants to check the weather or check sports scores. Okay, the more the data that is stored, the greater consequence that it's breached. Now, the law does require, it has a specific provision that it must be deleted upon verification. Of course, that's what Discord told us, and we also know what happened to them this last week. This should be a cautionary tale to these lawmakers everywhere. Discord was like, hey, you got to verify your ID. Their automated system detected that you were younger than you say you are, so you have to upload a photo ID to them, not to them themselves, but to their third party, which apparently was Zendesk, although they're not fully admitting that yet. But it seems as though the evidence suggests it's probably Zendesk. And in response to this, despite they were supposed to, quote unquote, delete all of the IDs, 70,000 IDs were still leaked. Full images of people's real information was leaked. Copies of the identity documents when, as I have said recently in the past, this is the biggest growing market for hacks and thefts, is to get access to these, because now Google wants to verify everybody. All these companies want know your customer laws. KYC laws is what you might see them as. They have the KYC laws into effect. Now the criminals simply steal a bunch of IDs, create all of this malware under your name instead of their name, obviously. And now when they're caught, it's not me, Your Honor. I don't have the bank accounts. It's Randall Stevenson. He's the guy with bank accounts. And then what happens is you're sitting there sipping on your chai latte tea in the morning. And then the FBI kicks in your door at 5 in the morning on a no-knock warrant and points M16s in your face because the hacker stole your ID from the ID verification system, like happened in Discord when 70,000 people now have their IDs out. Now, I will mention a couple fun things here. I do have a friend in California. We were talking about this the other day, and he said something asked for this. He literally took his California driver's license. I blocked out everything except, I think he kept the number on there and the birth date. He blocked out his picture. He blocked out all other information, his address information. He uploaded that, and they accepted it. So if you are forced to upload an ID, try that. Now, that might be because he's in California and not in Texas, because apparently Texas has lost their head. Their giant big Lone Star heads have filled so full, their brains fell out of the hole it created because they're insane. Of course, Discord over here, it's not our system that was breached. It was just our third party. Don't forget, it is the third parties that cause your leaks. So if any company you're dealing with is utilizing any third party for any service, that is the chain that is going to be breached. And that is kind of frightening. All right, so Discord, this is, of course, discussing the Discord. Of course, I said all that. So this is actually the bill in Texas. And my apologies, I can't make this look any nicer. I can zoom it in. There we go. That's what I can do. 180%. That's what you have to do on Texas bills. Texas, you'll need a better way to do this. So this is basically the provision of the bill. I've highlighted what is important here. When an individual in this state creates an account with an app store, the owner of the app store shall use a commercially reasonable method of verification to verify the individual's age category under subsection B. And these are the exact same age categories as we see in California's bills. We're going to see that in a moment. Now, the question is, what does this mean? So we were talking about this last night, and one of our guys found this definition. It says commercially reasonable efforts moderate to high. So they say here they shall use a commercially reasonable method. I think this is a legal definition. It might actually be up in the bill in the definition section. I didn't check, but this is what he pasted into our chat. Requires substantial effort, but also allows for business judgment and cost-benefit analysis. A party need not take actions that are commercially detrimental or excessively costly. So it means that you can't do something so obscenely expensive. You can't force them to do something so obscenely expensive that it hurts the business model, but it means you have to try and search out a solution. I'm going to tell you what solutions we're going to see pop up that I don't think are good ideas. I'm going to tell you what I think is a little bit better at the end here. All right, so, I'm sorry. I need to cover more of the bill. So, of course, these are the age categories, 4 of them under 13, 13 to 16, 16 to 18, and 18 and older. So parental consent required. This is another very honest thing here. If the owner of the App Store determines under that section that an individual is a minor who belongs to an age category that is not adult, the owner shall require the minor's account be affiliated with a parental account belonging to the minor's or parent or guardian. So if you're using Android and your kids absolutely have to have an iPhone for some reason, well, be a better parent and tell them what they're going to have. But you would have to have an Apple account to manage the child's account. But one of the things that's interesting is that they require you to prove you have the legal authority to make a decision on behalf of the minor. So how are you going to A, prove you are the over 18 person, and B, prove you are the individual responsible for this minor? That requires a lot more information. And that is the part that I think causes a lot of issues. How do you do that? I don't know. There's a parent may be affiliated with multiple accounts. The owner of an app store, maybe not in China, but the owner of an app store must obtain consent from the minor's parent or guardian through the parent or of the account affiliated with the minor's account before a minor can download an application or purchase an application or purchase inside of any application. Okay. So under protection of personal data, they have to limit the collection of personal identification to the minimum amount necessary to verify the age, obtain consent under the section up there, basically proving you have the verification, and maintain compliance records and transmitting personal data using industry standard encryption protocols that we know are breached every single day, which is why this is a stupid bill. But of course, even though there's a later provision that says they must delete it, this is where you can actually just have multiple things. Age verification. This is what age verification means. The developer of a software application shall create and implement a system to use information received under the verification section for each user in the software application, the age category assigned to the user, and for each minor user of the software application, whether consent has been obtained or not. So that is the control. The developer of the software application shall delete all personal data provided by the owner of an app store under section 21024 on completion of verification. And that's exactly what Discord told us was happening as well. Apparently not. That's what they told us about the T app. Did not happen. All of those IDs leaked as well. How about the T for Him Act? Nope, that one leaked out as well. And there's probably more IDs that have leaked out there as well. So there is the bill. And of course, it goes into effect in January. Now, California comes down and they actually release some stuff tied to their AI stuff, and some of California's bills are making sense. Now, we covered one last week that had no teeth. We talked about that, and I said this is a stupid bill. This bill here is actually a little bit, this one's growing at least a couple of those baby molars back there. So from big labs like Meta, OpenAI, more focus on companion apps like Character AI and Replica, legally accountable if their chatbots fail to meet new standards laws. So one of the things they're doing is what I've advocated for. Also, Ohio is putting this into their new bill as well. We'll talk about that in SillyVille because that bill's just crazy. It's gone cray-cray. But what California and Ohio are doing is if your AI causes harm to human, the owner of the AI system has to be held liable. Now, does that mean criminally? I would love to see that word criminally put in there. It's going to cause all these guys to slow down a little bit. Because, you know, hey, what do we kill? We just killed another teenager. Whatever. Doesn't matter. Let's pay him a couple $1,000,000. No, I think if your AI is responsible for killing somebody, I think an executive, we need to start going in and saying, let's take that one from the C-suite. It'll be a random selection, like casting lots. Which C-suite executive is going to jail for the death of the teenager? You know, maybe that's what we should do. That'd be fun, right? I mean, keeps all each other accountable, right? It's not the CEO's job. No, anybody in the C-suite, man, you're all at risk. You know, that'd be the awesome law. Okay, because why is this happening? Well, OpenAI, OpenAI is being sued, yes, but Character AI, this is actually a new one. I did not hear about the 13-year-old, and you guys know I'm always looking for the Character AI lawsuits. Oh, yeah. Character AI is involved in another wrongful death lawsuit, this time of a 13-year-old girl. We've previously talked about the 15-year-old boy, and we've previously talked about the person who attempted but did not succeed, all from Character AI. So this is a third one, apparently. Don't forget, Character AI is rebranding itself under, what is their name? Avatar.fx. So if you see Avatar.fx or Character AI on your child's phone, delete that stuff now. Get rid of it. Dangerous stuff. Character AI is drawing too many lawsuits, so this company is rebranding themselves into Avatar FX. Be aware of that. So emerging technologies like chatbots on social media can inspire, educate, and connect, but without real guardrails, technology can also exploit, mislead, and endanger our kids. Again, notice for the children. This is why none of this legislation should happen at all. We should all just agree that the internet is like the streets of New York City at 3 a.m, and the child has no business being there, not without you holding their hands. So this is where SB 243, it was the California bill. This one, look at this, goes into effect January 1st. Isn't this interesting? Requires companies to implement certain features such as age verification warnings regarding social media. So I looked into this. SB 243, for clarity, does not require age verification. Okay. It is AB 1043, which requires age verification. We're get into that in a minute. But the reason that's got jumped into this one is SB 243 is the biggest one. But as it turns out, Gavin Newsom signed a plethora of bills into law. SB 243 is among them. That's here. And this is about companion chatbots. It's AB 1043 up here by Buffy Wicks in Oakland is the age verification software, and we're going to get into that in a moment. So while there is some age verification coming into law, it's not tied to SB 243 for ultimate clarity. Okay, so companies are required to offer break reminders to minors to prevent them from viewing sexually explicit images, even though Meta still doesn't know why that's a problem. Keep your people off Facebook too, guys. Facebook, Instagram, anything owned by Meta. Get it out of your kid's life, okay? Like, we don't know why this was a problem. I mean, do we need to check your hard drives? All right. Replica, which is designed for adults of the age of 18 till TechCrunch, it dedicates significant resources to safety content filtering systems and guardrails that direct users to trusted crisis sources. Here's what's hilarious. Replica is the only one of these which is explicitly marketed towards adults, but all studies have shown it is the safest for kids to use. Go figure. And then other states are trying to pass similar laws. This is about the age verification law from Politico. Monday, he signed a law requiring device makers like Apple and Google to check users' ages online, marking a win for tech companies. That have rallied behind in the face of opposition. Now, the reason they liked California's bill and did not like Texas is because the way it's implemented. And I'm going to get into why that is in a minute here. So Democratic State Assembly member, this is right here. Democratic State Assembly member Buffy Wicks argues AB 1043 is more balanced and privacy protective than the age checking laws passed in Utah and Texas. It does not require parental consent for app downloads, nor does it require a photo ID uploads, features other states and nations have pursued despite resistance from privacy advocates. Instead, this bill asks parents to input their kids' ages when setting up a smartphone, tablet, or laptop, then requires the device makers like Apple and Google to group the users into one of 4 age brackets. Interesting. Isn't it interesting how the Democratic states and the Republican states all have the exact same groups, and they are broken down the exact same way, by the way. This is all, these guys are buddies in the backroom deals. You know, they're keeping the government closed for a reason, guys. They're not really fighting about this. All right. Device makers must make the information available to apps like Facebook and Instagram, and app developers must request ages for the users. So for clarity, here's where Texas requires you to upload something or in some way prove your age and your connection to a minor setting it up, which is absolutely overburdensome and horribly invasive for privacy. California's law only says, okay, I am the parent. I just bought you a new phone. I'm setting up your phone and I'm inputting your age. Now that your phone has your age, and obviously since we age routinely, the phone will automatically jump into new age categories as it becomes. And now the parent is the one responsible for setting this up. So if the parent's like, I don't really care what you watch, and he just sets up your phone like you're 18 and gives it to you, well, you're just a bad parent, and but that's fine. But you have the right to be a bad parent. But for all of us that want to actually parent our children right, we can go in and enter in our kids' information as we want, and now the phone is locked to that age group, and that is really what the difference in these laws happen to be. All right, and so that's why the California law is actually a much better law than is the Texas law. This is just that listing of laws, and these are actually the bills. Here's the Assembly Bill 1043. This is requires an account setup, requires the account holder to indicate the birth, age, date, user of the device for purpose of providing signaling regarding it. Again, there's no verification of this on the back end. Do you trust the parent? So this is where the California bill does it right. So the bill would prohibit an operating system or provider or covered application to store from using data collected from third party in a competitive manner. So that's actually good. It has some of that. So an operating system provider shall do all of the following: provide an accessible interface at account setup that requires an account holder to indicate the birth, date, age, or both of the user of the device for the purpose of providing signaling regarding the user's age bracket, provide a developer who's requested the signal with respect to the particular user with a digital signal, a reasonable consent, real-time application programming that identifies at a minimum which group they are in. So look at this: under 13, 13 to 16, 16, 18, and 18 and older. Isn't it kind of funny that California and Texas at the same time passed has the exact same age brackets? There's a sense of conspiracy. Where's my tinfoil hat? All right. All right. And so there's a little bit about that. And 3, they must send only the minimum amount of information necessary to comply with the title and shall not share the digital signal information with a third party. Again, notice though, the similar things about these two laws is that they both require the signal to be sent from the device to the developer to the age brackets. Now, I'm not sure that's the best way to go. It's better if it's done on device, the application comes from the developer, and then on the device, the application automatically sorts better rather than sending it out. I think though that's kind of what they mean. I'm not sure. But what's interesting here is that the California one places the verification in the hands of the parent, and Texas wants that in the hands of the state. And that is where you have a dystopian character state. So, yes, sorry, guys. It's true. The right-wing conservative state is the one that is involved in the surveillance state here. I have to agree with that. The developer has internal, clear, and convincing information that the user's age is different. So this is if the application senses something radically different, the developer shall use that information as the primary indicator. So that is kind of maybe gives them the out to collect an ID if they need to. But for whatever reason, title does not require the collection of additional personal information from device owners or device users other than that which is necessary to comply with the law. So it does not modify or repair or supersede anything, and it does not require to provide any more information. Now, for completion, this is SB 243. This is just about the chat bots and stuff. Require an operator to take certain actions with respect to user operating knows as a minor, so they would get those signals from the SB 1043, including to disclose to the user the information is interacting with an artificial intelligence. I had a conversation with this last night because a friend of mine called me last night and says, hey, I just had to have a conversation with a robot. So it was great. And whose name was Roxanne, I think it was. So Roxanne, if you have a conversation with Roxanne, it's possibly a robot. Any Roxannes out there? Can you confirm you're an android? Let me know. With that all being said, however, what is interesting about that is we were talking and I said, yeah, it should be against the law for them to be like, hi, I'm Roxanne. I'm going to help you out. It should absolutely start out, I am an AI bot. It should identify itself as an AI bot without any name, without any pretense that you're actually talking to a robot. We should have 100% law about that. You are a robot, no giving it a name. And that's actually where I think Ohio might be doing something right. So even though that is in SillyVille, because it's absolutely absurd, there are some neat things in the Ohio bill. I probably should have included it here, but it was too good to not put in SillyVille. So anyway, preventing the production. Okay. So, the app shouldn't hurt any kids. That's the basic gist of it. So there is what it is. Now, what are we going to see as solutions? There's a couple of solutions that are coming out. This one here is called the Kids Web Services. This is actually owned by Epic Games, and this is one of the tools that is being tapped particularly by Blue Sky in Ohio and other places that requires age verification. What KWS, has done is KWS has created a system that allows age verification and tying that service into an age-verified parental account, and then they are basically that third party. Remember, we warned you about those third parties, but they are the third party that is sending those signals back to comply with the age verification law. So this is one of the companies that most likely Apple and Google, to not have to develop their own infrastructure, is probably going to adopt something like this, or they might build their own infrastructure like this, which would be even more terrifying. But what these guys allow to do, since so many kids are playing Epic games and some of these other games like this, then what they can do now is the parent can go in and create their parent account and verify that they are of age, and then give access to the kids any information that they want and get back any feedback or anything that is important for the parent to know. And so this is going to be one of those services that is owned by Epic Games. The other one, this was actually one that was used by another one of our channel supporters, where they were playing a game on Facebook or something, and the kid's like, I have to verify my age. And so it was actually through this service. Now, and this is where I'm saying that all of the things about uploading a photo ID may not be right. These services in many states allow you to verify your ID with nothing more than a credit card, because the credit card data signals to the bank you're over 18. And therefore, that will certainly work to verify your age without collecting any other personal identifiable information. So these are the two services that people are going to use. Kids Web Services, owned by Epic, and K-ID, of course, very beautifully Kid. So both of these are means that are being used by applications right now to verify ages and connect family accounts to age accounts. These are, if we are going to go down this nonsense road, this is probably the better way to go. I am less bothered by giving you a credit card number and verifying I'm over 18 than I am going to be giving you a driver's license number. I am not going to be uploading my photo ID to you. If you want biometrically scan my face, I'm going to tell you to go fly off with my 2 little birdies or something. But with that being said, if something's like, hey, we need to verify your age and a credit card will do, fine, cool, all about it. But I still think that this is still a problem because it's still digitally transmitted. I think we should take advantage of local institutions we have called banks, and every bank has a notary public. And I think that we need to have a system where Google can have a platform that any major bank, or any bank, since they're a highly regulated institution already, any bank could tie into that, not giving any information, but just tying in. And Google would send me something maybe on my app or maybe on my code or whatever else. I would have to take that, and that produces a very nice clean system. I would take that code, QR code, access number, whatever it happens to be. I'd go to a bank, okay? And it could be some other service that pops up. I go to the bank, and the bank has to verify my ID. Well, if I already have an account with them, they already have verified through the high regulation that banks have, which I trust a whole lot more than like PayPal, for example. The bank can go, oh yeah, and I could just go in and I could just, scan my phone, or maybe even do it through my online banking system, in which case the bank can just simply pass, fail, verify. Yes, this user brought this access account and he has an account with us, or this user brought us this access code. He doesn't have an account with us, but we verified his ID in person. The bank checks that. It's all good. I think that that's a better option because it allows us to verify our IDs safely offline. I think that that really is the best way to go. So there are my thoughts about the Texas bill, the California bill, and all that other crazy nonsense. Let me know your thoughts on all of those. Do I have this right? Is this more information? Are you terrified now? What is going on? All right. And with that, we're going to jump on over to our next news topic. So welcome back to Switch to Linux. We have our next news topic from the Weekly News Roundup. And today we are going to be talking about, well, after talking about the wonderful Lone Star surveillance state, now we're going to talk about ditching the surveillance state. Because while over here in the United States, we're doing this patchwork of nonsense, creating a surveillance state, it appears as though many people in EU are trying to get around it, even though at the same time, Denmark is trying to force digital IDs on everybody. So, I don't know. But what we have going on over here, and this section, by the way, is a whole lot shorter than the previous one. But over here we have good news for Germany anyway. Germany is moving away from Microsoft Exchange servers and migrating entirely to open source email systems, utilizing some available open source platforms that already exist and utilizing Thunderbird as their mail connector. So EU nations have generally been more progressive in adopting open source solutions for government operations. And honestly, all people need to do this as well. This time, it's their email systems that's undergone complete transformation. The entire state of Schleswig-Holstein, did I say that right? Probably not. Entire state administration email systems switched from Microsoft Exchange and Outlook to Open Exchange and Thunderbird. Bye-bye, Microsoft. They said they migrated 40,000 mailboxes containing 100 million emails and calendar entries were all moved to the new system. And so this is very possible, guys. Think about this. An entire German state did this. How difficult is it going to be for you? Because I got news for you guys. I have not used Google or Microsoft or anybody else to manage my contacts, manage my calendars, manage my emails. Haven't done it. I'm using Nextcloud, and it is not complicated for an average person to set up a Nextcloud instance. I've actually sold Nextcloud instances for people. I would basically manage them. And inside of the Nextcloud instance, you can set up your calendars, your contacts, your photo shares, your documents, everything. Everything you can do with Google or Dropbox or Microsoft, you can do on Nextcloud instance. Now, there's other options. If you don't want to go with Nextcloud, there's Proton, which I would trust. And honestly, the cost of Proton is about the same as the cost of the basic paid services from Microsoft or Google. So if you are like, I don't want to get into my own self-hosting stuff, look at Proton as an option. I think Tuda is doing some other stuff beyond just email now. There are a couple of good options. Disroot has some as well. So there are a lot of really good options out there that you do not have to give all of this information to these big tech companies. I use Nextcloud because I control the server, I control the information, I control the access. That's it, period. I own it. And so that really is the important thing to me. But I would highly, highly encourage everybody to look at getting away from those big tech companies. They are not your friends. In addition to that, the Austrian military also just ditched Microsoft. They're ditched Microsoft Windows and they've ditched Office 365. They're replacing it for Linux operating systems and LibreOffice. Again, I'd highly encourage anybody to do that. Of course, this is from ZDNet, which does, you will have to pardon the article author here, who's this Stephen Von Nicholas. My apologies, Stephen Von Nicholas does have a severe case of Trump derangement syndrome. So even though he blames Donald Trump in this article, he does also say that this has been a progress several years in the making. I'm not sure how those two things go together, but people with TDS do have irrational thinking, so that's okay. We'll forgive that part. We'll just look at what's the good parts in the article. Austria's military completed a major IT overhaul, replacing Microsoft Office with the open source LibreOffice suite across its desktop. This affects 16,000 workstations. The move will reduce their software bill at $33.75 per user for, a month for Office 365e for 60,000 workstations at $6.5 million per year, compared to LibreOffice's zero. So now they're switching all of that on over. Of course, if they're going to be using something like a cloud-based interactive with LibreOffice, that would require like a Calibora type server. That actually might cost some extra use cases if they're doing something like that. I'm not, I don't know if they're doing cloud stuff or not. Obviously, Microsoft 365 is cloud, LibreOffice is not. Of course, that might be the thing. They might just want to be avoiding the cloud, because the reality is getting out of the cloud is good. The major reason here is to gain digital sovereignty and control over critical data. This has been a plan of the EU for a long time. And so they say here that many EU governments are dumping Microsoft to protect their data. Because, yeah, the fact of the matter is a lot of these companies are, the United States-based companies are the ones that are housing all of this data. And in particular, if you're the military of an organization, you really don't want to be giving all of your documents and information to the hands of somebody that's not your state. Okay, kind of harmful for that, right? So the French city of Lines is also moving from Linux, moving from Windows to Linux and LibreOffice to protect the citizens' data. Of course, this is where they say it's under President Donald Trump, even though they do say down the bottom of the article that this is years in the making. So, Austria's case, the government started to worry about such moves were forthcoming when in 2020, the military identified the risks of depending on external cloud services, particularly from U.S. Austria wasn't the only one. Yeah. And everybody's been talking about some of the dangers. And look at this. Years in the making. Years in the making. Currently, it's because of this. Nobody thought Trump was going to win. They all thought he was going to be in jail. It has nothing to do with Donald Trump. It has entirely to do with EU's plan for digital sovereignty. They've been talking about it for years. All right. Austria's switch highlights a growing trend among European governments to prioritize data independence, open collaboration, and local control over reliance on foreign cloud services. And with that, I 100% agree. I'm an American. I don't want my data in American clouds. Okay. I don't trust the clouds. And it's not Donald Trump. I trust Donald Trump far more than I trust Google or Microsoft. Okay, just saying. And I don't trust any of them. Okay, just to be clear. All right. But then moving into our ditching the surveillance state, of course, with all of these App Store regulations. Now, of course, let me say this briefly about the App Store regulations. I run Graphene OS. I don't have a Google Play Store on here. And since that law requires you to have to create an account, you know, Aurora still exists. And you can download apps on Aurora Store without having a Google account. So by the law, the way this law is written, the Aurora Store, F-Droid, they do not have to comply with that crazy law because you do not create an account in any of those things. And on my Graphene OS phone here, I don't have Google Play services on there. I don't have anything connected to Google, so I am not under that law either. I will be, when I drive through Texas this year after January 1st, I'm going to sit in the middle of Texas and start downloading apps from Aurora. I don't even want any apps from Aurora, but I'm going to do it because I can. But with all that happening, Free Software Foundation has a new president who's been involved in a long time. But one of the things they're targeting right now is creating finally large collaborations behind an actual Linux phone. Of course, we've had a couple of sad stories in the Linux phone department. There's the Pine phone, which the problem with the Pine phone is there's just not enough development going on in the hardware space. So like, I've played with the Pine phone. I've enjoyed what I've done with the Pine phone, but the hardware is just too crappy. It's not sustainable hardware. The battery dies in like 35 minutes of messing with the thing. It barely works, doesn't keep Bluetooth connections. It basically doesn't work super well. Then, of course, we had the purism nonsense, and that turned into a giant crap show all over the place. And so there was that issue. Of course, they were trying to do this Apple approach and do all the hardware and all the software and perfect compatibility. You end up with probably a really good phone that nobody could verify because nobody could get the stupid thing, despite everybody threw a bunch of money at pre-orders and never happened. And then the Pine phone, you had tons of development on the software end, but the hardware lacked so much, it was unsustainable. You just can't get the Pine phones to work. So what they're working at is the Libre phone project announced by Executive Director Zoe Koyman in the afternoon. The new initiative aims to bring complete computing freedom to mobile devices, addressing spaces where users currently have minimal control over their hardware and software, such as Android and iOS. So since mobile phone computing is now so ubiquitous, we're very excited about Libre phone and to think about the potentials of bringing software freedom to more users over the world. I think the biggest problem they're going to have is the hardware development. I think that's where Pine phone came into effect, is especially from the Free Software Foundation, who wants everything to be absolutely free and open source. Sometimes that's really, really hard to do on hardware. And that's one of the biggest challenges they're going to have. And that's some of the things some of the comments have addressed, which is why Libre, purism, had a hard time getting off the ground. It's why Pine phones there's just not enough development, and there's not enough people buying the phones to develop the stuff right now. So it's kind of this stuck. It's kind of the reason why Windows Phone failed. Windows Phone was actually, believe it or not, I don't believe I'm saying this. I must check my head, guys. The Windows Phone was an amazing phone. I love the Windows Phone. I had one for a couple years. It was great. I thought the UI was amazing. Thought the hardware was pretty good. It crashed all the time because the software sucked. The store didn't have anything, but you couldn't get the development on the store or the hardware because there wasn't enough need for the phones. And right now we have this two-tier Android or Apple platform. It's really hard to break into that, but we'll see what they do. I'm hopeful, but I'm not totally sure anything is going to happen. So there are our thoughts on those stories there. Escaping the surveillance state, free and open source software, guys. Switch to Linux. If you do not have to be using Windows for your regular data stuff, guys, switch to Linux. Switch to Linux, especially with Windows 11 coming out, forcing you to have Microsoft accounts, verifying everything with phone numbers. They want to purely authenticate who you are and automatically store data of copies of all of your data in their own clouds, which gives them access to it under many certain circumstances. Just read their privacy policies. You work on Linux, local accounts, your files stay local, nothing's in the cloud, no verification of who you are. You can use your devices as your own, and that is what you need to do to escape the surveillance state. Let me know your thoughts about that in the comments down below. All right, we will jump on over here, and I forgot to record the first segment. That was so good, too. I'm going to have to wait until tomorrow when it's done processing to download it and cut it out. It's going to be lower quality, too. Bummer. Oh, well, we got the second one. I'll process that one. We'll check in on a couple of comments first. There was a little bit of discussion over here. What is this thing telling me about? Yes, I'm aware. Yeah. All right, let's check in over on our live chat on Matrix here. Ooh, we got a picture of Ivan over there on Matrix with this giant setup over there. Cool. You should see my setup. It'd be kind of neat. Let's see, especially for being in a van. Got dual monitor and a little graphene tablet down here. There you go. So I can actually watch the stream. Well, greetings, Cheesecake. I'm glad you made it to minute 0. Very good. War Thunder's on over there. I just see some basic back and forth conversation. Let's see. I do like the first gen Galaxy Buds or Bud 2s, but they're Bluetooth. Usually rock the Bose. Yeah, these ones are not Bluetooth. I'm not a fan of Bluetooth headphones anyway, and we shouldn't be keeping Bluetooth on our phone unless we're actively using it. One of the greatest features on graphene is you can actually set both the Wi-Fi and the Bluetooth that if it's not actively connected to something after a certain period of time, it just shuts itself off, which is totally good for security. Which execution is going to jail? You mean which one should be charged for murder? Yes, that's what I mean. Yes, if your AI causes the death of somebody, the police should go in there once they've determined that the AI did indeed do it. You should cast lots for which one of the C-suite executives gets the murder rap. Y'all want gamified stuff, huh? Gamification is what they're trying to do, folks. Let's do it. It's all legal. Just pass it under law. Be fine. That's right. All right, we got 18 watching on Rumble. You can watch over there on Rumble as well. We got Dan's over there. Greetings, Dan. We got Ivan's on over there. LMDE 7 is not for gaming. Do lack newer NVIDIA drivers. NVIDIA run installers don't work. Really? They do work on straight Debian. That's really interesting that it works on straight Debian but not LMDE 7. That's interesting. Let's see, are Linux phones in the future? I'll tell you what, if the world keeps on getting worse and worse and I'm having a harder time installing free software, I will either have to have a Linux phone or I'm going back to flip phones. Back on Arch, had a new GUI, would not work correctly on Mint. Interesting, okay. Can see a picture of me doing the stream over there on Matrix. Yeah, there's a link over there to Matrix if you guys are unaware of Matrix. We do have an account over there. 12 currently watching on Odyssey. We're having Odyssey this. Let's see. We got Healthy Linux. Howdy to you. Poilius, greetings. The Texas law proves that both Dems and Republicans are pro-censorship and surveillance. Greg Abbott is a WF puppet too. Yeah, at least to Texas's general credit, many of the citizens there have wanted to get Abbott out of there for a while. So, yeah, that might be the problem. Maybe a stronger person might have vetoed it. No, STL Republicans and the conservatives is always wrong. No, they're not always wrong. Actually, they're right more often than they're wrong. Sorry. Let's see. No, I was wrong. Left is more often wrong. Yeah, the left is more often wrong. It's they have a few better ideas on some technology things. All Texans should ditch their smart devices and switch to dumb phones, probably. Yeah, we do need to fight for the freedom. Yes. Possibility still exists. Should uptake a dumb phone use should occur. Yeah. Use a private phone like Graphene OS or the Above phone. I've never heard of the Above phone. That's interesting. Why data only? Yeah. So why he's going data only? He's following the general advice of the hated one. So he utilizes all of his phones with no text or voice. He actually doesn't even use SIM cards with data. He uses all of his on Wi-Fi modes only, routing through the Tor, and communicates with people only via Signal. So the idea is that without having a SIM card in there at all, your phone is not as easily tracked nor tied to a SIM card which can identify you. That's, I think, where he's going at there. Let's see. Run a VoIP on your private device. Yeah. Yeah, if you're in Texas, even if they try and block regular VPNs, just, use my affiliate code for DigitalOcean, tlm.li/DOH, and to go into the marketplace down there and create your own private VPN. Then, you can choose one of like 4 states. New Jersey's not crazy yet, so you can run a VPN out of New Jersey. Well, actually, New Jersey is crazy. It's just, they're crazy for different reasons. They're not crazy in the surveillance state yet. So we'll see. The only children that apparently need protecting are the politicians themselves. Their so-called laws are retarded and reckless, as if they're written by toddlers. Yes. Okay, yeah, XMPP and Jabber on private networks. Yeah. I doubt he'll use intelligence challenged. Yes. Let's see. Why do adults with no children have to comply with this? That's a very good question. Come on, man. Yeah, it's not about protecting the children. If it's about protecting the children, I wouldn't have to go on with it, Your boyfriend Lunduke's support over this bill, if I'm not mistaken, I have no idea. Haven't a clue. And no, he's not my boyfriend. Actually, I mean, I'm a Christian. He's a Jew. Homosexuality is condemned in both of those religions. So we're definitely not sloshing it behind the scenes. Sorry. Ditched my Google account recently, and before that, I ditched my Microsoft account. Also, TD up. Trump delusional syndrome. No. I'm sorry. And by the way, FYI at Pulius, I'm not a Republican, if you didn't pick up on that. Right-wing centralists not dumb. Maybe you mean Democrat. We got a fight going on over an Odyssey right now. I'm here for it. Just be warned, guys. Ivan's got the banhammer. If it gets too crazy, Ivan's going to start playing Thor. No one's over there on the Tubies. Thank you. Joining in. We got 39 watching on the Tubies. Ice-T Decodian, greetings to you. Night of Light, hello to you. War Thunder, hello. Silver Ventures, hello. Polish guy, I saved another laptop from recycling. My work is about to recycle a 3-year laptop. Nice. Not sure why, because it can run Windows 11. He just got caught up and wanted to buy something. Got French vanilla coffee and oolong tea. Ooh, I would love that French vanilla coffee, but I better do the oolong tea today. Were they worse than the Five Below headphones? I don't know, man. They were pretty bad. Samsung earbuds have never been that good, yeah. Let's see. Struggling with that work-life balance. Yawn so hard my chest hurt. Oh, dear. I went to the doctor last week to say mine is due to low blood pressure. Uh-oh. How about the government can blank off and stop doing the parents' jobs? Yeah. I mean, it would be easier for them to stop doing the parents' jobs if the parents were actually doing them. Randall Stevens got that reference from Shawshank Redemption. Yes, it is. Randall Stevens, Your Honor. He's the one with the bank account. I don't want nanny state. How can we stop that? Ultimately, we're not going to stop it because God has prophesied the Antichrist is coming, and that is the ultimate surveillance state. But, we do have to be wary of it. We should push back against it, but we also prepare for the fact it's coming. Mozilla is extremely woke. It's not too much better. Yeah, it's not. I still use Firefox, unfortunately, but that's because I just refuse to use Chromium browsers as my daily driver for everything. How is van life? A tad jealous, admittedly. Van life is pretty good. I am right now, don't typically disclose much of my locations until after I leave, but I am in the mountains of Idaho right now, and I am nestled back into a spot where I can't see anybody and nobody can see me, and it's a beautiful little spot, and I'm not moving until Sunday. I got in here Tuesday night. I was actually looking at the weather patterns, and there was a mountain range I was going to drive over, and it was going to snow on like Tuesday afternoon, so I'm like, or was it Wednesday? It was Wednesday afternoon, and I was going to drive over it Wednesday. I looked at it and said, I'll just drive an extra couple hours on Tuesday night. Drove through the night, crossed the mountain range when it was still 50 degrees and not raining, found this little spot nestled in the mountains, and I am just, oh, it is so beautiful out here. But yeah, I'm over in Idaho, and it is beautiful right now, and I'm not moving until Sunday. I've just declared it. Nope, not moving until Sunday. Van life is going great. Love an open source phone, like a fair phone. Yeah, I think Free Software Foundation is really too extreme. Yeah, they are a little too extreme even for me, but I think sometimes we need the extreme ends to extend out the Overton window towards what we should be doing. So I like what they're doing. I'm not as extreme as they are with my free software, but I'm pretty close. Hearing that TSMC plant in Arizona has started producing commercial wafers and high-end chips. Very nice. Can you select a country when hosting with DigitalOcean? There are a series of different regions you can go to. I do not know exactly how many, but there and I don't know if they're limited to just this country. I really don't know. I usually just go into the New Jersey servers. Usually. You're a nutcase Democrat? No, you do not have to. You do not have to be a member of a party in America. We have a two-party system, but we also have what the two-party system means. By and large, either a Republican or a Democrat usually wins. The reality is we have about 5 or 6 different parties, depending on where you draw the lines. I am independent, means I'm not part of any party, because both sides are insanely stupid. And the reality is, as a Christian, I am supposed to not join sides on the political forces, but tell everybody about the gospel of Jesus Christ. Oh, Joe's here. Greetings, Joe. How are you? Yes, we have another hammer over there in YouTube. I've not seen you in a while, Joe. I hope things are going well. I'd love to catch up with you sometime. Let's see. I've been listening for a while and do my tasks. All right. Love the picture. All right. I guess I missed that. I was responding to a statement just now. He said not Republican. Yeah. Who said nobody can see your van in the bushes? Did you forget about Bigfoot? I mean, I leave Bigfoot out of it because he and I are always chilling out. You know, Bigfoot follows me around the country. It's true he's in Oklahoma. It's true he's in Washington. He's in Oregon. He's here in Idaho. I just hung out around a campfire with Bigfoot last night. It was awesome. I got to say, it was awesome, you know, pretty good. All right. I see my 10-minute mark. Thank you, Ivan. Let's jump on over, and we will talk about our QuickLines next. First, I'm going to mute my microphone and do something great. Okay, got that out of the way. All right, let's go ahead and move on to QuickLines. Maybe I should edit that out. I don't know. It's live, though, after all. All right, well, California, in addition to all of the other different bills they just passed, California just put people back in control of their data. This is AB 656. This one actually deals with social media, and it requires social media companies to make canceling an account straightforward and clear, and the cancellation of the account triggers a full data deletion of the person's personal data. This is actually another really good bill. So what's up with California passing really good technology bills right now? I mean, they don't always do it, but when they do it, boy, they do it. All right, so opt me out. So this act requires browsers to include a setting allows users to send an opt-out preference signal, letting California stop the sale or sharing of data. This one here is a little bit more dubious because browsers have always had this option, do not track signal. The problem is that companies, there's never been any enforcement arm for it. And so some browsers have actually started to pull this out, actually. What this is actually going to do, though, is it looks like it might give teeth to that option. So if you are in California and you have a do not track signal your browser can send, I think that the law is forcing companies responding to California citizens to obey that signal, because in the past that has always been in there. Do not track signal has always been in browsers for years, and the problem is that it's never had any teeth. There's never been enforcement. There's never been a mechanism for it. It was basically just another fingerprinting tool. In fact, I think Firefox took it out just because it was another fingerprinting tool. You could fingerprint if somebody had that turned on or turned off. And so that one's a little bit less dubious. It's always been there. And then this is the strengthening the data broker law. Okay, this one, they kind of went off the rails. It's like more transparency about the data brokers. No, I want to see you completely cancel the data brokers. Try again, California. Go ahead and veto SB 361, reintroduce it as a means to say no data broker can have any information without full direct written consent. No digital authorizations are allowed. There you go. That's how to fix that one, California. So California did win a lot. They swung and missed that one. So we'll go ahead and give them that little bit of a pass, because they did a lot of good things this week. All right. They stolen iPhones. This is your Find My iPhone. I remember when this first rolled out. I think I was still using Apple when it first rolled out, and I was like, slowly moving off of it. I think I had the Apple phone. I had a Samsung phone, which I don't remember if I was using the Samsung phone, but I didn't like. I started seeing the writing on the wall, learned about Lineage and other custom ROMs. So I ended up, and that Samsung phone couldn't install Lineage. That's actually when I got my first Nexus 5X. I got it just to test out Lineage on it. And at that time, I was still using Apple for my primary one. I put Lineage on the other phone, and then I ran that for a while just to test to make sure it was solid production ready, which it was. And then I ditched the Apple phones sometime shortly after that. But the Find My Phone feature is there to find your phone. It basically works the same way that the tile trackers do. It uses low-level Bluetooth energies to send signals inside of a giant network of Apple devices. So it's basically like, kind of like that Mind virus thing. It just pings around Apple phones until it finds one with a connection to the Apple server and then broadcasts its location. Well, there's been a big problem with New York City this is happening in, and London it happens in, where people drive by the city and mopeds just stealing phones out of people's hands. And if the phones are unlocked, they're roaming around like a zombie, then you snatch the phone out while it's still on. You can drain the bank account before it locks. That's always good. But even if that's not the case, they could sell these Apple phones for, I think it's $400, 300 pounds in London, like $400. And the thing is that phones have a way to report it as stolen, and it will lock it out of many networks. However, China does not obey that and will allow stolen phones to be on China's mobile networks. And so what happens is people are stealing all these devices, and they're basically being shipped back to China and being sold on the black market in China. And so what they did here is one of these phones had to Find My Phone. So they steal the phone and then they wrap it in aluminum foil, because that actually does work. Blocks all those trackings, blocks all this. Well, one of them broke loose from its foil and it broadcast itself. And police are like, hey, we're looking for that phone. And they go to this warehouse. And this was Christmas Eve. Phone theft victim used the surveillance to track the stolen device. The signal led police to a warehouse near Heathrow Airport. Isn't Heathrow? I think that's DC, isn't it? Containing almost 900 stolen phones destined for Hong Kong. Stolen devices eventually ended up in China, where they could sell for high prices. So in London, they get 300 pounds each, around $400. They wrap the phones in aluminum foil to block the signals. And then, of course, once they get over there, they don't really care. System only works in countries that carriers enforce the blacklist, and many don't, which means a phone sold in one country can be sold in another. And then it ultimately turned out that they were finding out there were something like 400,000 phones. It was in here. I probably saw it. 40,000 phones per year being smuggled into there just from the UK. So there you go. There's where all your phones are. You can also probably check China for all your missing left socks as well. They're probably over there as well. Anyway, there's updates about passwords from NIST, and next time some stupid company wants me to change my password again because it's been too long, I'm going to send them this article, or maybe not the Malwarebytes one, maybe the actual guidelines from NIST, which actually provides so if you are in a company that requires government compliance for password stuff, you have to obey the NIST list recommendations. So gone are the days of resetting your passwords and your employees' passwords every month or so, and no longer do you have to worry about special characters, numbers, and capital letters. Yes, they have finally realized that length is the only criteria for a good password. All right, so hints and basic security questions are no longer suitable. Password length above all other factors is the most meaningful measure. So in short, here is the list of the updated guidelines. Complexity, so special characters, is out. No longer have to do that. Password length is in, as it's been for years, but they're doubling down on that. Do not have to regularly reset your passwords because they found that, actually we'll explain all these in a minute. Password resets are strictly used for security breaches, not for just random resets. Basic security questions, you don't worry about those, and password recovery links and authentication codes are the better way to go. So if you forget it, you should use a password recovery link or authentication codes, not something else. All right, so here is their reason for this. The length is obviously the primary factor because all of these attacks are basically use dictionary attacks. The longer the password it is, the harder it is for the computer system to breach your password. So if it's super long, much harder to breach. If it's super short, much easier to breach. So less complexity. And the reason for this one is they said that the way people made it more complex was too easily predictable. So a person who might use password is likely to choose a capital P password and 1 if required to have a capital letter and a number, and then capital 1 and exclamation if forced to have a special character. And so basically it caused easily predictable stuff. If you know any Christians, typical passwords to theirs, PIN numbers are tied to some of the favorite verses, John 3:16, Jeremiah 29:11. These are all common things used. I've seen it a lot. God is good with various zeros for O's and things like that is very popular. So passwords are this is why you should use a password manager and generate your password with a random password generator. That's what you do. You do not rely on something you can quote unquote easily remember. All right. No more regularly password stuff. A lot of the reason for this, this was actually in here for a while. The reason is that if you regularly required this, people already got used to the one password, so they would simply increment the password to the next number or character or something else. So it actually reduced security, allowed predictability. Password hints are out. What is your mother's maiden name? What street did you grow up on? Yeah, in social media era, you can get this. You should never, ever, ever have a security question of what is your mother's maiden name, unless, of course, you're doing like I do and make up all sorts of information. There's too easy to find that information out there. Block lists should be used to protect against have password block list, set of words and phrases that will be rejected. Actually, I found out that I was trying to change the email address with an institution I did business with. And so I was basically setting up an email server and doing a separate email address for every different account so that each account would be sorted into its own server and things like that, basically organizing a bunch of stuff. And I tried to set it and it wouldn't accept it. And I finally heard back from them today and they're like, yeah, you can't have our name in the email. Good to know. So blacklisted names. It got me, man. It got me. Right. That was the email, not the password. But and then, of course, strengthening more than passwords. All right. This was an interesting one. The pixel napping attack on Android phones. This was basically malware targeting effectively the window management system. So as the pixels are drawn. So it's not taking screenshots per se. It's predicting what the screen says by looking at how the pixels density is being broadcast out of the hardware, which means it's extraordinarily complex, but a state actor could pull it off. But they were actually able to, utilizing a couple methods on, they were using modern Pixel phones, 6, 7, 8, and 9 Pixel phones. They use a Samsung Galaxy S25 as well. They succeeded in stealing secrets from browsers and non-browser apps. They disclosed findings to Google and Samsung in early September, and as of October, they patched, at least Google did. Samsung will probably get around to it. Once developed, they could be disguised as something harmless and distributed like any other piece of Android malware that you find typically in the Google Play Store. And of course, malicious apps programming will stack a nearly transparent window over the app it wants to spy on and catch for subtle timing signals that depend on the pixel colors. They can actually steal your 2FA codes from Google Authenticator in under 30 seconds. So I hope that you can get to that Google prompt before they can. How wonderful. All right, guys, AI girlfriends cannot keep a secret. Apparently, the AI girlfriends gossip just as much as the regular girlfriends, so be careful. In this case, we had two different apps utilizing the exact same servers, and those servers were set up insecurely. It wasn't an Amazon S3 caller. That's good news. But it was a single server that, where was it at? They'll tell us down here somewhere. Kafka broker instance. Kafka, I think. That was, apparently we can have Kafka calendars now too. So two AI character apps by the same developer, Chatty Chat and Gimme Chat. Gimme Chat? I don't know. Have exposed millions of intimate conversations and 600,000 images and other private data, and pretty much all of it was not safe for work. Leaked purchase logs reveal some users spent thousands of dollars on their AI girlfriends, and I thought the regular girlfriends were expensive. August 28th, Cyber News discovered publicly exposed unprotected streaming and content delivery system at Kafka Broker containing massive trove of personal information. Data belonged to 40,000 users, 43 million messages sent by AI models, over 600,000 images and videos shared and generated by the AI models. All right, so virtually no content that could be considered safe for work. Troubling leak highlights a huge gap between the complete trust users place in their apps expressing their desires and fantasies with the hope that this information remains private and the security and negligence of developers. Basically, everyone's trying to rush as fast as they possibly can to these things to the market. And this is why, well, one of the reasons. This is the technical reason you should not use them. There's moral reasons you shouldn't as well. But, you know, you can come over here and chatty AI character, create your perfect girlfriend. Well, your perfect AI friend. Yeah. During the investigation, Chatly app was delisted from the Play Store. Developer directed users to download and sideload the APK instead of installing it. We took it down. Why? It's insecure. Please install it over here. Wonderful. Anyone with a link was able to connect to the app's content delivery network with any content sent and received by users. Our researchers have warned. All right. It did not actually contain personally identifiable information, such as names and email addresses, but with all the information, you could actually identify people. You know, it happened to have pictures of people and presumably pictures of, I don't know, pictures of other things as well. A lot of gardening going on. Yes, lots of gardening. In-app purchases logs reveal that some users spent as much as $18,000 in app purchases. However, those were edge cases. All right. Kafka brokers exposed instances exposed due to misconfiguration operational practices. Apparently, it's common, just like AWS calendars. So be careful with your AI girlfriends, guys, and please. Stop. Just stop. Of course, you can't do that in Ohio soon. We'll get to that in a minute. All right, YouTube prepares to welcome back banned creators with a second chance program. This article is just hilarious because it's like, they all need a second chance. Oh, they need a second chance to come back for the platform that you banned them from because Joe Biden said to ban them? That's not a second chance. That's not, have they learned? That's not giving them a chance to grow. No, that's, why don't you just turn everybody back on that the Biden administration caused you to cancel? Why don't you retroactively apologize to me for talking about the VARS database, which, by the way, I am far more qualified to talk about than any of your moderators over there at the Tubies. Just a thought. While you're at it, stop giving me copyright strikes for talking about Kodi, at least as long as it's still available for download in your Google Play Store, for crying out loud. And I wonder if I'll get my Discord server back, although I really don't want it back. That was probably a directive of the Biden administration as well. I engage in wrongthink over there, too. How dare I possibly tell somebody about the publicly available lawsuit where a pharmaceutical company lost billions of dollars in a public lawsuit? How dare you do the audacity of doing that kind of stuff? That's wrongthink right there. But that's okay. I don't really want my Discord server back. That place is a toxic poison. All right. A few weeks ago, Google told Jim Jordan of Ohio that it would allow creators banned for the Kufi and election misinformation to rejoin the platform. Turns out it wasn't misinformation. Turns out it was election truth. In fact, if you didn't watch the documentary called 2000 Mules, you should go watch that, because they uncovered all of the stolen election stuff. They uncovered all of that, utilizing all the things I've been warning you about on this channel for years. Data brokers, ad tracking stuff, all the metrics on your phone. You go watch 2000 Mules. It is the case study in everything I have been telling you for the last 10 years on this channel. It's funny. But no, it's misinformation, apparently. But we know many terminated deserve a second chance. Deserve a second chance? What are you talking about? Y'all already told us that the Biden administration forced you to ban these people. There's no second chance. It's bring them back, apologize, and give them revenue for what you've taken from them. Oh, my Lord. Anyone terminated for copyright violations is out of luck. Okay, you got one there. If you're actually, although, I don't know. Okay, hold on. I have to rescind this after watching Gamers Nexus video today. I got to rescind that one too, because I don't think the copyright violations are valid either. You didn't watch Gamers Nexus video. I think it's today or yesterday on the copyright battle he's doing right now. Pure gold YouTube, right? Google does not forgive such infringement as easily as it does as claiming that COVID is a hoax. It turns out COVID was a hoax. Not really a hoax. It was lab created, though. And we know that the science himself helped create it. Readmission process still comes with review by the YouTube staff. Take factors including whether or not the behavior that got the channel is still against the rules. Oh, dear me. Creators who get a new channel under the pilot program will find it all effectively forgiven. All forgiven. Oh, thank you. While we need to rebuild the subscriber base, they will be permitted to apply for monetization as soon as they reach the channel criteria. By the way, this stuff is the reason why we stream to 5 platforms at once. All right, well, people are regretting buying the Amazon smart displays after being completely bombarded with ads. I called this one, too. I need to get myself one of those little Thorums and cast lots and stuff. I think I'm a prophet or something. I don't know. Maybe a camel skin coat. I should get a camel skin coat for how much prophecy I do over here. All right, Amazon Echo Show owners are reporting an uptick in advertisements on the smart displays. Several Reddit examples, or several different ones. I read all those. They're all great. They were like, all of a sudden, the alarm clock goes off, you hit snooze, and then you have to listen to an unskippable ad that's really loud. Like, okay, I'm up. No more snoozing, And then people are like, yeah, the ads are so crazy. I'm going to go back to Google for my smart home automation. So Amazon declined to comment whether it's increasing the ad loads. Of course, we know it is. But it's kind of, they told us they were going to do that, right? Gotta come up with it. And then, of course, we have the Death to Spotify movement. So it's a DIY movement to get artists and fans to quit the music app. So their biggest issue with Spotify is that they claim that it turned users into passive listeners and not active participants in the music. Of course, every musician would love everybody to stop everything they're doing and listen to their songs. That sounds great. I don't got time for that personally, but I can appreciate it. In fact, there's really only a few times in my life I just stopped, did nothing but listen to a great tune. I understand that, but it's not something I do all the time. I understand. But a bunch of musicians got together in Oakland, California, gathered for a series of talks called Death to Spotify. All right, so in the Death to Spotify conferences, they're kind of talking about some of the issues a lot of artists have been talking about, cut down royalties and things like that. Global movement against Spotify edges into the mainstream. They say it turns listeners into passive, uninspired customers. And they said, artists have long complained about the paltry payouts. This summer, criticism became personal, targeting Spotify's billionaire co-founder Daniel Ek for his investment in Helsing, a Germany firm developing AI for military tech. So, of course, they were very clear to point out that Spotify and Helsing are two separate companies. But, that doesn't bear a lot of weight for the fact that this guy wouldn't have his billions of dollars to invest if it wasn't for Spotify. It's the same exact reason why, I don't really care what type of wholesome content Disney might come up with next. I'm not going to support Disney because as of right now, they are still specifically involved in the woke agenda to indoctrinate your children into the LGBTQ lifestyle. They have said that. They have openly said that. Now, there has been a little bit of pushback in the company. We're seeing a little bit of that pushback. We're seeing some of that. But until I see a lot of executives engage in mass firings and say, we messed up, we apologize, and we are doing no more such things, at that point in time, I will think about it. But under the circumstances right now, if I'm giving Disney money for the latest Marvel nonsense or the latest Star Wars nonsense to see what Baby Yoda's up to next, which I don't really care, if I'm giving them any money for that, they're turning around, taking that money and using it for causes that I am firmly against. All right. And so that's, I think, what their argument is. By pushing people to Spotify, Spotify's making this man billions of dollars. He turns around, takes that billions of dollars and puts in the company they disagree with, which, by the way, AI tech for Germany, I disagree with that too. Okay. From the people who brought us the gas chambers. Now AI military tech. No. Disavow. Not for it. Nor am I for a group of young Republicans. All right. But anyway, we thought it'd be great to talk about the relationship to streaming, what it means to actually take our files off and learn how to do that together. So they're kind of DIYing how to sell their music. So the goal was, in short, down with algorithmic listening and down with royalty theft and down with the AI generated music. And basically what they wanted to do is they wanted to have ways so, like, one artist put out their music only on Bandcamp and a Twitch stream, and they ended up selling thousands of copies, made a lot of money on that, far more than they could possibly make releasing it on Spotify. Now, not that Spotify is entirely bad. Spotify bought the audiobook distributor that I've been using for years. I've been using it for like 5 years before Spotify bought them. And I got to say that under Spotify's ownership, I make a lot more money. A lot of it is because they do allow people to listen to my audiobooks under ad supported. So, and to be honest, if I'm going to get 40 cents by you listening to ad supported or nothing because you wouldn't buy it otherwise, I'll take the 40 cents. Although it is nicer when I sell one under one of the other audiobook platforms and you pay me, 5, 10, 15 bucks, whatever it's for on that platform, or whatever the royalty cut is I get. If you buy it directly from me, obviously I make pretty much the whole royalty. If you buy it from a distributor, I only make like 30% of the royalty, which is funny because, the company says, hey, if you distribute exclusively from us, we'll give you a lot more money. The problem is I want you to be able to buy it from a place where you own it. Ergo, I will take the royalty hit. I do like this quote here. Tom York removed his solo projects for the same reason, calling Spotify the last desperate fart of the drying corpse. Of course, he later put them in, so I guess now he's zombie gas, I guess. I don't know. But anyway. For years, the artists knew streaming would not make them rich, but they needed visibility. Now there's so much music out there, people are questioning what it's doing for them. And that is a problem, especially as AI slop music starts populating it and the real artists are getting drowned out. It's no longer about visibility. Now it's just like, if you're already a big name, it's the same problem I have with Rumble. You are never going to create a channel on Rumble and then grow it. You are only going to get exposure on Rumble if you come to Rumble with a big audience. So you got to build your audience somewhere like YouTube and then migrate it to Rumble if you want any experience over there, like any success over there on Rumble. And Spotify is becoming the same way. There's just so much stuff on it. And it's just, they push what makes them the most. And that's not necessarily your small artists. This band, though, when this band sold their new Raspberry Moon directly through Bandcamp and a 24-hour Twitch stream, they sold thousands of copies, generated thousands of dollars, which is far more than they would make doing it on Spotify and looking at their, 50 and 70 cent royalties every few months. Carolyn Rose experimented as well. Her album of the year, Slug, came out only on vinyl and Bandcamp, inspired by Cindy Lee's Diamond Jubilee, which was initially only available on YouTube and on Mega. Go figure. There's a neat one. Joey Francisco, the member of the punk rock band Downtown Boys and co-founder of Yuma, says the group unequivocally supports artists taking agency, holding corporations accountable, and making splash. This is why I do sell all of my ebooks, all my audiobooks in multiple different ways. I don't do any form of exclusive arguments, because you can buy a copy from me or from one of the places where I have it DRM free, and you can own that, and that's important to me. Now, I can't control if Spotify allows you to download it or not. That's out of my hands. Amazon forces DRM on some of my ebooks in some parts of the world, although I have it disabled everywhere I can. But at the same time, I have places where, even if it's not directly from me, like on my PayHip account, you can buy any of my digital files on my PayHip account completely DRM free. Anywhere in the world. That is the one place you can buy all my stuff anywhere in the world. And that's payhip.com/OWIC. My tech stuff is over there, and my Christian stuff is over there. Ebooks and audiobooks. Let's see. So this is a neat one here. This one came up just yesterday. Unencrypted satellites expose global communication. So this is the new features like T-Mobile and AT&T have. They're all pushing out so fast. So, you can be in the middle of the mountains like I am and still have connection to people because you can do text through satellite. Well, it turns out that protocol is very insecure. So researcher from UC San Diego at the University of Maryland found nearly half of the geostationary satellites transmit unencrypted data, exposing sensitive customer, corporate, and military communications to interception. The researchers used $800 satellite receiver for 3 years, uncovering vast amounts of unencrypted data, including private calls, texts, and in-flight Wi-Fi traffic being transmitted to and from space. They captured T-Mobile calls, texts, in-flight Wi-Fi traffic, critical infrastructure communications, and even U.S.-Mexican military data. Wonderful. So they said down here, researchers discovered telecoms use the unencrypted satellite backhaul links, exposed private data from remote cell towers using a single $800 dish that intercepted signals from T-Mobile, AT&T Mexico, and Telmex. In just 9 hours, they captured 2,700 phone numbers, along with one side of calls and text messages from T-Mobile users, showing how easily attackers thousands of miles away could eavesdrop on sensitive cellular traffic. How wonderful. So yeah, don't assume that anything you do over your messages are there are secure. That's wonderful. And with that, we're going to jump on over into SillyVille. I had one more article there, but I'm going to kick off on that one. We'll do SillyVille, and then we will feed the beasts, and then we'll take comments until we run out of those to do. So starting in on SillyVille, this one was not tech related. It was just too good not to talk about. Over in Denver, apparently, you can do a 31-mile Taco Bell run. So head on up there to the Mile High City and fortify that stomach. And to me, this just sounds like some form of internal explosion might happen. I'm not sure I'm for this, but I did the math on this, and I'm pretty sure I could probably run this. I mean, I do run a mile in a little under 10 minutes, and it's only with 31 miles. It takes only about 11 hours to do, and the only thing is that the route takes you across 10 Taco Bells, and you have to stop and order food at 9 of them, at least. All right, so you have to run a little bit, and unfortunately there's actually music on these, so I can't play the most of the videos here, but it is a run in Denver, and it goes around 10 Taco Bells. According to the rules, runners have to stop at 9 out of the 10 of them and order a food item. Now, we were thinking about what if you could do a hack, just, go in and order just a small thing of cinnamon sticks, because they're just pure sugar, basically. They're deep fried sugar, really. But they say here drinks don't count. They don't mention anything of that. However, the stops do have some specific food items you have to have. So you have to have a Chalupa Supreme or a Crunchwrap Supreme by the 4th stop. You have to have a Burrito Supreme or a Nachos Bel Grande by the 8th stop. So you do at least have to eat 2 major things. There's a strict no puking rule. You puke, you're out. You're done. And of course, you are not allowed anything like Pepsid AC, Alka-Seltzer, or Mylanta. None of that. They have to ensure your stomach lining will melt and your backsides will burst into flames before you are allowed to finish this run. And the only thing I can say is, like, yeah, it might be bad to eat at Taco Bell 9 times in one day, but I think if you're running 31 miles in the midst of it, you're probably okay. I don't know. But let me know what you guys think. This guy actually stopped and he gave us actually a whole audio diary. I'll just remind you, all of the links are available here, so you can go watch all of his little X videos if you want to see this particular runner's run through all of them. He recorded all 10 of them. He completed his Taco Bell 50K in 10 hours flat. And you can go read those. I'm going to let you go to the article and watch his Twitter stuff yourself if you're interested. But if you're in Denver, let me know. Did you participate, and how tasty was it? And are you still alive? That's a good question. All right, well, over there in China, good thing this isn't something needed for the Taco Bell run, which, by the way, for a Taco Bell run, you can only stop at restrooms at Taco Bell's, and they have one other approved restroom on the stops. But over in China, when it comes to public restrooms, if you want toilet paper, you're either paying for it or watching ads. That's right. So your Samsung TV or your Samsung refrigerator starts showing you ads. Now over in China, it's already here, folks. You got to watch an ad to get that toilet paper. I don't know. You might actually have to buy something if you're having on that Taco Bell run. I don't know. So at the core of it, China's basically locking down the toilet paper. An incredible video shows a woman forced to scan a QR code with her phone in order to activate a toilet paper dispenser. Of course, if you don't know, in China, it's so technological in China. Everyone basically has to have their phone with them all the time. Even the homeless bums on the street all have smartphones, and you can donate to them with QR codes. So you don't even give loose change to the bums in China. You go over, they hold out their phone with a QR code, and you go over and scan it and give them money. It is dystopian. All right. So this woman here, you go into the bathroom, and you got to scan the QR code with the phone in order to activate it. After scanning the code, you either have to pay a few cents for some toilet paper or watch an ad. Might be vaguely dystopian. No, I think it's totally dystopian, actually. But it's admittedly pretty seamless from a user point of view, taking just a few seconds of effort. Context is iffy. Now, we do not know, is this in a private place like a McDonald's or a public restroom or things like that. The system is designed to cut down waste. Some people would abuse free paper, they say. It's plausible, though. Toilet paper thievery, surprisingly, is a long-standing social issue in China. Okay, your economy has problems when stealing toilet paper from public restrooms is a problem. Okay, I am a van dweller. I have done it in more public bathrooms than probably anyone listening here, okay? Unless maybe you've been a truck driver for the last 30 years. All right? I have only encountered one place that had no TP. And that's why I carry some TP with me. It was cool because everyone else was like, what are you doing? I just walk on into that restroom carrying my own roll with me. Yep, I'm doing my business, boys. Take my TP back up, take that with me. That was in Arkansas, by the way. People asked me one time, what's the worst state's rest areas? Arkansas. Wow. At least they have campground. Like you can pull up to specific overnight places where you're actually allowed to pitch a tent. I think Arkansas and Kansas, I think, are the only rest areas that allow you to actually pitch a tent and camp in that sense. Anyway, but this isn't altogether outrageous. In New York, there was a story. Tourists were not the problem. They said the toilet papers were disappearing. It turned out to be the local residents taking advantage of the free supply of toiletries. Leave it to the New Yorkers. Well, under that new communist they're looking to elect, I can see this happening a whole lot more. how long before it's watch the ads in New York City too, under communist dude's rule. All right. Toilet paper is a public resource. We need to prevent waste. All right. Toilet paper is a public resource. We need to eliminate our waste, actually. All right. And on to finally our Ohio legislature. All right, guys. Ohio legislature introduces a law to ban people from marrying AI. Might make the most sense of all. Right? California is saying we have to put in strong regulations against AI. Ohio is saying, nope, we are ahead of the curve. We see what's going on. We watch the movie Her. We're banning AI, baby. Well, they're banning the marriage of it, really. 80% of Gen Z would consider marrying an AI, according to some statistics. So the old boomers in Ohio said, now's our time, guys. If any of those young guys get in, we are never passing this law. So they went and did it. House Bill 469. This has, it states no AI program would be recognized as a sentient being. So what this means is that AI systems are declared to be non-sentient entities for all purposes under the laws of the state. No AI system shall be granted the status of person in any form of legal personhood, nor be considered to possess consciousness, self-awareness, or similar traits. So under this law, I wonder if a company calls you up with Roxanne, hi, I'm Roxanne, I'm here to help you through your stuff. I wonder if that would be a violation of the Ohio law because it is at least pretending to be a human being without disclosing exactly what it is. There is a list of things. An AI may not marry a person or another AI. So the AI is not even allowed to marry the AI. Go figure. That's actually really good. Ohio is doing its best to ban Skynet. Machines making machines. Nope. It's banned in Ohio, guys. No more Skynet factory for Ohio. Machines not making machines over there. Also applies to 9. We now know, according to this, future dystopian world, 9, the movie 9 was not set in Ohio because we have now a law that the machine cannot make the machine. Well, at least it can't marry one anyway. It cannot be the manager or the partner of any organization. That's forward thinking. This law is actually forward thinking. It's kind of funny. They cannot own or control any form of property, and they cannot bear liability for the harms that it causes. I like that one. Yes. Again, we need to pass laws across the whole nation, federal laws. If AI harms a person, whether that's a self-driving AI car or an AI chatbot getting all weird chatty with some kid who decides to engage in self-deletory processes, then in which case here, the AI did it. This is the company that owns it. We're going to the office to casting lots. Which executive suite's going to jail? We need to do it. Let's make this a reality, folks. Let's do it. Computer systems improve their capacity to act more like humans. We want to be sure we have prohibitions and a law that prevents these systems from ever being human in their agency. People need to understand we're not talking about marching down the aisle to some tune or having a ceremony about a robot that'll be on the streets here in a year or two. That could happen, but it's not really what we're saying. So there you go. Ohio actually passed a law which is kind of ahead of its time. Very interesting. If you want to help support the channel, have a look over at the merch store, shop.switchedtolinux.com. We got hoodies and t-shirts and hats and coffee cups and all sorts of fun stuff like that. With that, thank you for watching, and let's go on over to Feed the Beasts. Hey, Beast, would you like some food? Would you like some food, Beast? She's like, yeah, I'd like some food. Kitty, kitty. Hi. Hi. Oh, you want some kitty treats? Kitty, kitty. Oh, there he is. Come here so people can see you. Come on. Come here. Alrighty. Well, that cat looks pretty content sitting there, so we'll go ahead and leave the kitty on the screen. Better look at my ugly face, right? All right, let's see if I can spot where I was at. Our Linux phone in the future, I hope. I don't know. Let's see. No, I'd say the far left is crazy. The regular Democrats aren't too crazy. It's just the far left lunatics. The problem, I think, with the current Democratic Party is they let the far left lunatics in there and have given them too much power. Because the regular basic Democratic platform is really one of wanting to help people. Their heart is in the right place. And sometimes they have good ideas about how we can start trying to do that. I think the problem is they tend to be more enablers, and they oftentimes go too far with trying to help people who don't want help. They just want taking advantage of the system. So the Democratic platform is actually sound. It's the far left who the Democrats have allowed in that have kind of driven the party a little mad. So the far left loonies are really the problem. The basic Democrats that just want to help people are not a problem. Crazy Eddie. Yep. Liberal empty, another parties, just conservative, most centrist. Let's see. I hate the woke mind virus too much. Socialism. Yep. You can support gay rights. I support what God says. Which effectively means, it basically means that it is a sin to engage in a homosexual lifestyle. Now, if you feel same-sex attractions, I just happen to call that a sinful temptation. If you act on that, you commit sin. That would be the Christian stance. And as a Christian, I would like to alleviate sin from the world as much as conceivably possible. So it's not that I don't hate gay people. It's just that, particularly if you're in a world that wants to embrace and endorse that, I do not embrace and endorse that sin anymore than I would the sin of murder. Let's see. Second change program. No, COVID was real. I cannot say that. YouTube kidding. Shadow ban. Yeah, COVID was real. It was lab created. Yes. Saying different people exist. Yeah, let's see. What about the Zoomers? I don't like being called a Zoomer. I'm not crazy about them, but yeah, I'm a Gen Z. Let's see. That was Taco Bell, not Starbucks. Oh, boy. No. Wait, hold on. Let's see. This is the Democrats that are crazy, not left. Now, the far left are the crazy ones. The standard Democrats I don't have a big problem with. Let's see. We got 10 currently watching on Odyssey. Oh boy, I can only imagine what dumpster fire is coming to me over here. Dumb phones can still ping cell towers. Yes, this is true. Use private phone like Graphene OS or the above phone. I think I read a few of these. I forgot to mark down where I was. Okay. Beware of the burn hammer. Mr. Hammer, meet the anvil. I don't know. Let's see. Yeah, I'm not reading all of the fighting words going on. I believe it said in the Bible that just listing a person is a sin. Just listing over a person is a sin itself, and you say that if you act on your lusting over a person. Okay. Jesus said in the Bible that just lusting over a person is a sin itself. You say that if you act on your lust is a sin. You are wrong here. Okay, so that statement is from the Sermon on the Mount, and he is expounding on the difference between the letter of the law and the heart of the law, the attitude of the law, and the specific phrase he mentions. It's in, I want to say it's in Matthew chapter 6, I believe. He says, whoever lusts after a woman, the whole verse would say, if whoever commits adultery sins, but I say whoever lusts after a woman in his heart has already committed adultery. That's effectively what it is. So yes, what this counters is the idea that people can say, well, I can sit here and entertain the sin in my mind, but not actually do it. And as long as I'm not actually doing the sin, it's okay. Jesus is saying that the sin being heavily dwelt upon in your mind is just as sinful, but there's a difference between harboring the desire to think about that, thinking of watching the adult content, or thinking about the adult content. In fact, there's another phrase, another verse in the Sermon on the Mount also that says, it's better to pluck out your right eye or cut off your right hand and make it into heaven. There are interpretations of that verse that suggest he's talking about masturbation. You're engaging in, because it's right around that other verse, you're engaging in lusts and lustful thoughts. Acting on those lustful thoughts are one different thing. But there's a difference between a temptation and a dwelling on, a desiring, but simply holding yourself back. So I'm going to sit here and dwell and desire and fantasize about what I'm going to do to this beautiful woman that I just saw. I'm just going to restrain myself from doing it. Jesus is saying that is just as sinful. But going up, walking on the street, looking at a woman going, wow, she's hot, is not in and of itself a sin. That's a natural temptation. But it's to think then about that woman later on in your bed late at night and you're lonely and all that. That's when you can cross the territory into sin. That's what he's talking about in that particular verse. But God knows what you were thinking, so you're still always in sin. Always. No, because there's a difference between the action of sin, the mental dwelling on a sin, and the basic temptation of sin. A temptation to sin is not a sin. It's fantasizing, dwelling, or doing the action that is the sin. That's kind of the breakdown. All right, let's jump back over to the tubies. I live in Texas, and I'm not pleased. A lot of politicians I voted for and donated for pass this. Well, start making a lot of noise in their offices. That's the best thing to do. Look at what Louis Rossman did in Texas, of all. Now it's with those flock cameras. People are running from them at this point in time. Firefox got rid of the do not track feature because it was never respected. I actually think when they got rid of it, though, I think they said in passing it's not respected, but they said it was also a fingerprinting option. And so I think that they got rid of it because of those two reasons, if I remember correctly. Like Kiss guitarist finally died. Yes, I did see that just before turning on the show. Kiss guitarist Ace Frehley did just die. Use MailFence for email. Chinese people love Apple phones. I'm registered as a Republican so I can vote in the primaries, but I've voted Constitutional Party and a few Dems before, as I've not been a fan of some of the Republicans. Congress critters in my state, yeah. I'm a Canadian. We don't have to register. We just have to vote. Yep. So I have a preferred party, but I'm not tied to it, and I can change if they change. Yep. I don't know how average people don't use some sort of password manager these days. I know a few that don't, but yeah, it'd be a rarity. Come from South Carolina, which has some sanity where we have to show IDs to vote. Yeah, there you go. We need like every other country requires IDs to vote. We have to have IDs to vote. We have no other way. Bitwarden exists for an online one. Proton Pass are both free. KeyPass XC is free but available locally. Yeah, I mean, I prefer KeyPass XC because it's local. I do not want my passwords on the internet, even if it's through Bitwarden. Sorry. You don't have to register with a political party in America, only if you want to vote for the party leader. Yes. The primaries, and even that's, it depends on your state. So in my state of Pennsylvania, since I'm independent, I can't vote in the primaries unless there's like some ballot initiative. I can vote for a ballot initiative, but I can't vote for any candidates or things like that, which is maybe smart, maybe dumb, because some places have open primaries. So, and the problem with an open primary is if you're a registered Democrat in an open primary, you could go and you could vote for the worst Republican to sabotage your opponent's candidacy, which I think is a problem. So maybe Pennsylvania might have something there, but I don't know. There's advantages and disadvantages of both. It would be nice if I could go in. Of course, I could go and change my registration to Republican for the purpose of doing the primaries and then that. But of course, if that's too easy, what stops the Democrat from changing their party to Republican to do the very same thing? So there's problems on either side. This is why we just need integrity. Like, stop trying to sabotage the people you don't like and just vote for the people you do like, and let's see where the chips fall, But, unfortunately, you find a lot of the voter misconduct is more of a Democratic thing than it is a Republican thing, far more. There's a few Republican instances, but far more Democratic. So the YouTube still has TDS. Yes, it does. Blaspheme, he says the K word. That's right, I did say the K word. A lot of people on YouTube also have TDS and think only bad people are coming back. Yeah, that's true. Say Lenduke 3 now. Lenduke. I know. I've been wanting Abbott out as well. Yeah, I know. It's a lot of people are. I mean, better than some of the other options you had up there. But yeah, he's definitely proving himself to be a swamp critter. That's for sure. Stick with my M4 Pro Mac Mini. There you go. Let's do with artists and all other creatures. Yep, 42. Holy monkeys. My TV's only 40. Be a law that politicians have to have basic tech literacy. Yeah, I know, right? Especially in our current age, we definitely need to do that. How do you do copyrights and how do you protect your work from AI? Well, I mean, the reality is, as far as protect my work from AI, yeah, that ain't happening. Copyrights, so I can still make any copyright claim. If somebody tries to do something illegal with my stuff, I can still make the copyright claims. The thing is that the idea of DRM is to try and prevent people from doing that. You know what? I'm not going to take that stance, but if you're trying to steal my stuff or trying to distribute my stuff outside of the means that I approve of, then yeah, we might have some issues there. You might find yourself in front of a judge. Let's see. Wait and see. The Starlink being implemented on, I believe, United Airlines at 300,000 feet. Yeah, I don't know. I did not see in that article if Starlink was in that or not. Gonna need a few porta potties for that Taco Bell run. Check out YouTube channel Serpenzia. See how Chinese people have a need to grab thing even they have enough. Yeah, well, that's you find that also in a lot of like foster kids and things like that will tend to hoard food, hoard basic resources. People come from dysfunctional families will tend to do the same thing because it's you perceive there's something there you can take because you perceive you may be in need later, and that's what tends to happen in crazy dystopian communist hellholes. And that's unfortunately where you have a whole society of billions of people living in that. Yeah, they're going to take any resource that they can that they think they can get away with because it gives them a leg up over their neighbor that may not have the extra resource. And that's really, it's a mindset. It happens. This is what's going to happen in New York City if y'all vote that psychopath in. You're going to have some problems over there, and you're not going to realize the problems until you get them. I'm a Gen Z alpha, but I won't marry an AI waifu. I want a real girlfriend. Good for you. Keep it, man. Keep it. One of the casts is the beast that comes out of the bottomless pit. Yeah, it's that one right there. That one's the evil one of the bunch. Machines making machines. How perverse. Let's see. Kitty isn't satisfied and happy. He's plotting domination of the human species. Yes, yes. I used to work at a company where I had about 24 passwords, had to change every 28 days, and I constantly got locked out. Yeah. 2 Corinthians 10:5, the one you required to cast out all sinful thoughts into captivity. Yes. Take out all sinful thoughts under captivity. Yes. Got a kid from local high school, vocational rehab, coming to work with me for a few weeks, and he doesn't even know what a basic file system on a PC is. That's interesting because a lot of these kids don't even know what regular files are anymore. It's kind of crazy. It really is. Yeah, basic folder organization. Let's see here. I'm gonna check out where that store is just to double check. Main news. Yeah, so this is that source. All my digital books, audio books and ebooks are available at PayHip. It's payhip.com/OWIC. This is a global marketplace. This place is the only place I have where you can buy DRM stuff, not in the United States, because they collect all my VAT for me. So, of course, a lot of these are my Christian stuff, but down here at the bottom, I have the Code Red book is over here, and Synaptergy's over here. The ones with the green E on it, those are EPUBs, ebooks, and the ones with the headphones are audiobooks. So all of my Christian and technology ebooks and such you can buy over there on PayHip. That's payhip.com/OWIC. So you can pick those up over there if anybody's interested in that. All right, guys, we are at the bottom of the comments, so we are going to wrap this one up. So this one's okay. Okay, let's see. All right, guys, we will catch you guys all later. Have yourselves a wonderful week. We do have a video coming out for Saturday, and well, I guess I'll get the second one out tomorrow morning, and then I'll have to extract the first one as a standalone video. Will be tomorrow night after I get a chance to download it and edit it. Thanks for watching, everybody, and we will see you all